Welcome to the Voices of Young People podcast, brought to you by Springtide Research Institute. In each episode, we hear directly from young people as they respond to our research and share about the issues impacting their lives. As sociologists and researchers, we see a new story unfolding for young people, one that moves beyond traditional institutional boundaries and requires careful attention to the inner and outer lives of emerging generations. At the intersection of being and becoming, it's the Voices of Young People.
Hi, my name is Nabil Tueme, and I'm a sociologist and associate researcher at Springtide. I'm your special guest host for the season 6 of the Voices of Young People podcast, and I'm so honored to be hosting the season because we are specifically listening to stories from Latinx young people as they share their own religious perspectives. This special series is offered alongside the State of Religion in Young People 2021, Navigating Uncertainty, and offers a sneak peek into the research that we at Springtide have been doing alongside Latinx youth and young adults. A note about our terminology in this podcast. Throughout the season, you'll hear us use the terms Latino, Latinx, and Latine interchangeably. These are all terms that have been used to describe people of Latin American descent, though some of the terms are contested. Here at Springtide, we're committed to using the terms that reflect young people's values and the ones that they themselves prefer. Well, this is the final episode, episode 5 of season 6 of the Voices of Young People podcast, Latinx Voices. And it's a good one, folks, because we get to hear from Destina, who is a first-generation Chicana, a first-year PhD student, and an avid lover of socks. Yeah, we do not shy away from controversy here on the Voices of Young People podcast. Destina talks to us about how, among other things, the Catholic Church's violence against Indigenous people has really made her question the religion she grew up with. But Destina hasn't completely disaffiliated from the church, and she says it's because of her personal relationship with La Virgen de Guadalupe, who, according to Nahuatl accounts, is pre-Hispanic. And that is really important and meaningful to Destina. Let's hear from Destina now.
Hi, my name is Destina. I use she, her, ella pronouns. I'm a first generation Chicana and first year PhD student, studying sociology and focusing on Indigenous migration and displacement within the regions of Latin America. A few things about me. I love to take my dog on walks when I'm visiting my hometown. I love to read books, and I'm a huge fan of socks. So I like really fun socks that have like little designs on them. So I really enjoy that. And yeah, I love being around my family and my partner when I'm visiting my home state and just being around my friends. And I'm really open to doing anything, really. So that's a little bit about me.
Now answer or weigh in here on a heated debate. Should you sleep with socks on?
I do. But where I'm at, it's cold, so I have to sleep with like socks on. And I just feel weird because I don't like feet, ironically. Yeah. I don't like feet, but I like socks. So I'm always covering my feet. I really don't wear like open-toed shoes that much. I just don't like feet that much. So I'm like covering them all the time.
Listen, I feel you. I wear socks with my sandals. It's not cool, but it is what it is. I've accepted it. I'm embracing it.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, great. So, Destina, I have so many questions I want to ask you. I guess the first one I'll ask is like, for some people, being Latine is being Catholic. Like they're so synonymous. For some people, obviously not for everyone. So I was just wondering if you if this is something you've heard, if this is something that resonates with you, a little bit about your personal experiences with this.
Oh yeah. So everybody that I've been around since I was younger, where I'm from, it's a very religious state. More than anything, it's more Mormon than anything. But the school that I went to was Catholic. It was a Catholic private school. So everybody that I was around, they were more or less Catholic. But even within that, there was a small population of like students that identified with the Latinx community too. So there was like handful in my class that were Mexican, and then like one Venezuelan and one Peruvian. And even then, out of all of us, we were all Catholic except one who grew up Mormon. So for me, like, I was just used to that. All my friends outside of the school that I went to, they were all Catholic as well, like Mexican and Catholic. That was really the majority of us that were in my hometown. So that was really like what I was used to. And I never really questioned it and never really thought about it until I went to college. And when you mentioned that question, it reminded me of, I guess, like my experience I had when I went to college. As an undergraduate student, I had someone in my class who also was Mexican, but she was Christian. So I was really taken aback by that. I was just like, oh my gosh, like I forgot that people could be other religions. It just blew my mind. And it took me being in college to be reminded of that too. I've had friends or like people that I even knew that were Christian, that were Mormon, I think Protestants, Jehovah's Witness too. And then me, like Catholic. And then at this point where I'm at right now, with the way I was raised, I usually just say it more like, I don't know how else to describe it, like past tense. Like I was raised Catholic, but it's not something that I'm actively practicing as much as I used to. I really changed a lot with the way I've thought about being Catholic. And I think also what helped, or I wouldn't say help, but what opened a new way of like looking at this was going to college and also being around other people that were like part of like the Latinx community who weren't even like religious at all. Like they weren't like atheists, or some were, or they just didn't practice anything, but they changed also. And I had friends and someone that's close to me who is Indigenous, and that really shifted a lot for me to think about this more, especially with Catholicism and its relations with indigeneity. That changed a lot for me, and I still have a hard time grasping that, just like with what I know. Just learning about the abuse, the violence, and the trauma that many people and many elders, people that are still alive to this day, have experienced and are still going through, like that really changed a lot for me, because after learning about that, I started to push in my family a little bit more about some things that didn't really make sense to me, that I questioned before, but I felt like I had a little bit more background and a little bit more knowledge to challenge it a little bit deeper.
So what does being religious or spiritual mean to you now?
Well, that's a good question. I guess the first thing that came to mind with that is like being a good person. And I know everybody has their own definition of morality and like morals and like ethics too, with like good and bad and like something in between. But for me, I would say what it's not is not being judgmental of somebody's experiences and somebody's history, because that's what makes us unique. We all have a different story. We all have something that's happened to us that has shifted. I would say that it's so like with Catholicism or like spirituality, it's so ingrained in the Latinx community, especially, that it's kind of like it's like a culture too, in a sense, not even a religion. And I would say the biggest takeaway from that would be like Our Lady of Guadalupe too, because even though like I say like that I was raised Catholic or that I was brought up like by the Catholic Church, I still have a lot of value and respect and love for the mother of Jesus. Like that's kind of, I don't know how else to describe it, but I just say like she's the reason why my foot is still in the door with Catholicism, because like it's really close to just completely like of me completely removing myself from Catholicism. But because of her, she's really kept something spiritual there for me, and also really culturally, because like what I've been grown up around, like she's on our necklaces, she's on our bracelets, she's on our earrings, she's on our clothes, she's on our tattoos. My dad has a tattoo of her. Like my partner's uncle has a tattoo of her. Like she's everywhere. Like, you know who she is. And I have so much like highly, like I just respect her so much. Like, and I think about her so highly, and like she's like a huge deal for me at least. And I've had conversations with other people or other friends, or like old friends who also like are in the same situation. Like a lot of them are Mexican, grew up Catholic, and kind of slowly shifting away and like moving away from Catholicism. But we still know there's something there with Lupita. Like we have so much love for her, and we don't completely want to remove ourselves from because of her.
Why is it that, you know, La Virgen has that effect on you?
I would say because I think it's a huge thing to be looked at as a mother, and not like, I'm trying to see how to explain this, because like she's the reason why Jesus is here too. Like she has a huge role, and it's not like I see her like, oh, she's someone that gives birth. Like, no, she gave like life. She gave like something that grew into something bigger. Like there's just something really important there, because I'm not saying like I would love to be a parent one day, but I know it's not the only thing that defines me. And that's how I look at Lupita. It's not the only thing that defines her. Like she's a symbol of Latin America too. Like she's a symbol in Mexico. Like you see her, you know exactly like who she is, like because she has like that much power too. And I find it so liberating, because she's also a woman too. And I think that like we shouldn't be looking at women as just people, or like anybody that can just like have kids. Like we are a lot more than that too. And for me, I think that's just so important. And I feel comfortable to like pray even on my own time. Like I'll pray to her and ask for like guidance for something, or I'll just do the sign on the cross and I know it's going towards her. Depending on who you talk to, like the indigenous, like some indigenous communities, or if not all of them in Mexico, like knew there was Lupita, but before Lupita, there was another name for her too that was erased, and her identity was taken across. Like she was looked at as an equal. She was looked at someone who took care of Earth, who took care of nature, and who took care of like the stars and the planets, and took care of people. And it didn't matter what your gender was. It didn't matter what your sexuality was. It didn't matter what your race was. Like none of this mattered. She was there to protect all of us. And the way that it's kind of been watered down as someone who just gives birth, like that's where I have a problem with it. And it also makes me feel like I have to defend her and just like side with her even more because of the way she's been whitewashed initially. And that's the part that's really frustrating for me, because a lot of people that I know that are Mexican and Catholic, like still like actively Catholic, and it's usually more like elder, like adults, like older adults that see her in this way, but also have like some respect for her. But I don't think they have that kind of respect, especially men. I don't think they have that kind of respect for her in the ways that I've seen, like I would say more marginalized communities have, like those that are brown, those that are black, those that are indigenous, like they have their own practices too. And we still value her and treat her as like a higher power, and not in like an authoritative way, but also as someone like you respect her. Like you don't do anything to disrespect someone like that. Like that's the way I see it.
Well, and you know what's so interesting is that like, yes, there's there's obviously some reverence for her as divine.
Mm-hmm.
And yet the fact that we call her Lupita,
Mm-hmm.
you know, like, so the Virgin of Guadalupe is the full name, right? And a shortened, I guess, nickname, would you call it, for Guadalupe is Lupe,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so you would call someone Lupe if you know them.
Mm-hmm.
But then it goes one step further where she's known as Lupita, and that diminutive, the ita, right? That's like really, like, you really only use that for someone like you love, like a family member.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's a very different relationship that one can have to Lupita than maybe even like Jesus or God.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I will still pray to God, but like, I guess the way I perceive God is also like, I don't see him as a man, or I don't see God as like a man, or like this guy with a white beard in the clouds. I see it a little more differently now at this point, like looking from a spiritual perspective, just see like there's something there, but I don't think it has any gender to it either. So I know there's something there. So I've been like practicing and kind of like challenging myself, just because I was raised like with this kind of God, like looking this way, and also being a male figure, like push on that a little bit more on my own. But I never have said that I was atheist either, which my parents really thought I was, especially my mom. She was like thinking I didn't believe in God and I was just atheist and I didn't like practice anything. But I'm like, that's not the case. It's just I'm seeing it a little bit more differently. And I think through that journey, that's where I had like Lupita there too, just to give me some kind of guidance, at least like on a spiritual level, just to make me feel more comfortable with, I guess, transitioning from growing up Catholic and moving towards something else too. And I like that you brought up the informality of calling her Lupita, just because she, like, that's something I realized I was doing too. Like, because you only really say that if you feel like you're close enough to them. And I realized, obviously, I do feel close enough to her where I can say that freely and not feel like, I don't know if I should or if it's disrespecting her, because I know that she knows my relationship with her. I don't ever intend to be disrespectful towards her.
Just a quick break to thank the donors who make this podcast possible. Springtide Research Institute is supported by donors who believe in the critical research and insight-generating work we do on behalf of young people. You too can help sustain the work of Springtide so that resources like this podcast series can be made alongside our research reports. Your one-time and ongoing gifts allow us to continue our mission to equip those who care about young people to care better. Visit springtideresearch.org today, where you can make your own tax-deductible donation with a variety of giving options. Now, back to the episode. I want to circle back to something that you said, Destina, that I thought was really interesting and powerful, which is that you feel like Lupita actually helped you or supported you as you transitioned out of Catholicism.
Mm-hmm.
That just gives me the goosebumps, one, because it's like, I think a lot of people would be like, I don't know, I think for some people it might be counterintuitive. Mm-hmm. Like, they'd be like, well, why wouldn't she guide you to stay in the Catholic Church?
Mm-hmm.
What would you respond to that?
I think that's another good question too, because this is where I go back to, I guess, the way that I look at her is like, she's someone that's not judging you. She's not judgmental. Like, the way that I believed Catholicism was supposed to be is that we're not supposed to be judging anybody. Like, what happens with someone's sexuality, what happens with decisions they make with their body, that's something that's a choice for their own. And as Catholics, we are not even supposed to be looking at them like that, like, you're going to hell, or you caused a sin, or like just things like that bothered me, and I didn't agree with that. Whereas I think because of my cultural relationship with Lupita being Chicana as well, and the way that I look at my relationship with her, I think that's where it starts to be different, because she's not going to say that you need to stay here in this space that's becoming toxic for you and becoming a problem. Like, you see, like, you know where my relationship is with you, and if you know that and you're very certain and solid with that, then you're going to understand why I'm shifting the way I am too. So that's how I took it. And like, saying it out loud, it sounds so weird, but that's how I felt with her.
I don't feel like it sounds weird at all.
It sounds like, because I don't know how to say it, because like I know like spiritually she's here, but it feels like I'm like talking to her right now. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, like that's like, this is wild to me right now just to say that, because this is how I felt. But I guess saying it out loud is a little bit differently, because I've had this in my mind. I've talked about this with my partner, especially. I've talked about this with my friends, but I don't feel like I really like I feel like I'm looking at her, or like she's right here and I'm telling her like, this is how I feel, and like why it's such a problem for me to stay and like to kind of like keep practicing this, you know. The church that I grew up in, like I value that church a lot. It's such a beautiful church that I grew up in, like seeing all the mosaics, the art, the sculptures, like that's something I really value. I love the architecture and everything about it, I guess aesthetically, but some of, even the priests too, like they were people that I really felt inspiration from. Like they weren't, like I said, they weren't judging people. They weren't like preaching some of the things that I've heard like some like Catholic relatives say before, act like they know more. And I'm like, the priests don't even say this, you know? So I'm like, why are you saying this? You know, but that's just my own individual experience. And that's probably why like I've also been able to feel like I could smoothly transition away from it slowly. And maybe I might never do it completely. Maybe I might have like still like that foot in the door there, but that's kind of how I feel right now at this moment. But I know that's not the case for everybody. Everybody might have had an even worse experience with Catholicism.
What would you say to young people, young Latinx people who are facing similar challenges with their faith as you?
I think it's going to be hard for sure. So I know it wasn't easy for me. Like even just questioning things about faith really like caused problems in the beginning, but I've kind of established myself a little bit more now that I'm older too. Like it takes time, especially when like one thing I've noticed just in my life personally is when you challenge something that's been so normalized, it can have some pushback, and that can be hard too. It can be frustrating as well. But if that's how you feel, that's how you feel. Like, don't ever gaslight yourself. Don't ever like doubt yourself. Like if you feel like something's off in your faith, like you should think about it. And that's what reflecting is. Like you could sit in your bed, you could sit somewhere and just really think about like, what does it mean to me to be this like religion or to be this faith? Like I was like similarly what I said already, like I didn't really have a choice. It's kind of like what was expected already. Like, oh, you're going to be baptized, Eucharist, confirmation, marriage, like same thing. And now that I actually feel like I can decide for myself and make more decisions, like I think it's helped me a lot. But what I would say is that if you feel some doubt or if you're uncertain about something, that it's okay to question it, because that's what it means to be human. That's part of being Catholic, that we grow up, we change all the time. Like if you grew into something and you didn't really have a choice to really think about, like, is this what I want to be doing? Is this what I want to practice? Like, do I want to keep moving forward on this? Like, you have that choice. That's why you're here. You have like these options to decide your own path as you keep growing up. So for me, I guess that's some advice that I would give somebody, because I know, like I said, especially in the Latinx community, religion, faith, like there's like, we all practice something regardless, and it's going to have pushback on it too. So
that's great. That's great. I think that's really helpful. And something that a lot of people are going to resonate with.
I hope so.
Anything? Yeah, no. Is there anything else that you want to share with me about your faith, your spirituality?
I don't think I have anything right now, but I guess this last comments that I can give is that I hope that for those that get a chance to listen to this, that there's something that you can take away from this and know that you're not the only one who's had to feel this way or that feels this way, like some confusion or just something that feels off, because a lot of us have experienced it. And I think it impacts us a little bit more when we go to school too. I'm not saying like that you go to school, you have this revelation, like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I want to practice this anymore. But I'd say that really influenced me. And it's okay to think for yourself too. Like, don't decide or don't let your family or those around you that brought you up into that faith decide if that faith is for you or not. Because like faith, it comes naturally. It shouldn't be something that is enforced. But I think what you should know is that you have a choice, is what I want to get at, is that there's always an option for you. And it might be harder to really figure that out, especially depending on what your family situation is or where you're living or how you're being brought up. But just know that that's going to be there for you always. And if you feel like something's off, don't doubt yourself.
And you're not alone.
You're not alone. You're not alone.
Well said, amiga. Well, thank you so much for having this conversation with me today. It was so wonderful hearing about your experiences. And I just really appreciate you.
Yes, of course. If anybody after this needs to reach out about this and talk a little bit more, I'm also open to doing that. Because like I said, I get it. It's a tough conversation. So
it absolutely is.
Visit springtideresearch.org to hear more voices of young people and to download our latest report, The State of Religion in Young People 2021, Navigating Uncertainty. Thanks to a very generous donation, the digital version of this report is free to download. Springtide Research Institute is supported by donors who believe in the critical research and insight-generating work we do on behalf of young people. Make your own tax-deductible donation with a variety of giving options on our website today. Today's show was produced by Nabil Tweme, Marta Abuaji, and TJ Birnbaum, with original music by high school student Christian Unthank. Special thanks to the 5 guests featured in Season 6, Latinx Voices with the State of Religion in Young People 2021, and to all the young people whose perspectives and insights make our research possible. Follow us on social media at We Are Springtide and interact with a variety of resources connected to the 2021 report with the hashtag Religion and Young People 2021. Thanks for listening.